DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves me, you, him, her, them, and they to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, a hardcover book that is, one university. We created a whole framework and system around how you can actually use this and put it to work in your real life. All of this is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to pursue your passion while still working full time. This is a topic that I've been asked about a few times over the years, and something that I had never done an actual masterclass on. So we are addressing that. We're fulfilling that need right now. We're plugging that gap right now of how to actually make this happen. It doesn't even matter what it is you're trying to do. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do as your passion, and it also doesn't matter what you're doing full time. If you're in this situation, the common denominator is you have a full-time commitment over here on one hand, but also you have this thing that you want to pursue as your passion on the other hand. And maybe when you say pursue as your passion, maybe eventually replace the full-time thing. Maybe do that, your passion, whatever that happens to be, as your full-time gig, and you just want to know how you can do it because of balancing act as far as your time, attention, energy, resources are going. And also, if it's a thing that you're doing full-time as a job, then also money. We got to talk about that as well. So you notice how we already have incorporated the 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. So this can be, when I say full-time, this can be an already existing business that you're running, and maybe you're looking to change out of that business and do a different business because you're more passionate about this other thing. But the main thing you have going right now is what's paying the bills. So you can't just drop it immediately. Or this could be a full-time job, which is also paying the bills, but you got this other thing that you would rather do that you're more passionate about. How can you transition between the two, and how do you juggle this balancing act while you're in the process of getting from point A to point Z? Either way, as I just said, time is going to be at a premium. I was this person myself when I was trying to get into professional basketball, a year removed from graduating from college. I worked a couple full-time jobs, and at the same time, I'm trying to get myself into playing ball, which meant I needed time to go to the gym and work on my game. I was going to need time to go to whatever events or whatever places I would need to get to where I could actually get seen and known in the professional basketball world, because it's not like at this time, this is 2005 we're talking, it's not like I could just get on the internet and publish a couple things and all of a sudden opportunities would be knocking down my door. It wasn't like that then for professional basketball, and honestly, it's still not like that now. Nowadays, you can go and become an online influencer if that's what you want to do in that space. For example, talking about basketball, but back then there was no such thing as an online influencer, and that's not what I was trying to become anyway. I wanted to play on an actual professional basketball team, and nothing I was going to post on any social media platform, if they had even existed at that time, were not going to get me a job playing professional basketball. So I was still going to have to go do those things. I needed time to work on my game. I was going to need resources. I was going to need money so I can actually travel to these events. I mean, these events were not free to go to, and it wasn't free to even get to the event. I mean, to travel from point A to point B anywhere in the world, you're going to need gas, you're going to need a car, you're going to need a plane, you're going to need something, you're going to need lodging, you're going to need food. All of these things matter. So I had to have all of those things factored in order to get from where I was to where I was going. And at the same time, I still had to make it work, because just because you're pursuing a passion doesn't mean you're going to catch it, right? Because that's what we're talking about here, pursuing your passion. Just because you're pursuing starting this other side business and making it your full-time business doesn't mean it's going to become the full-time business. Just because I was trying to become a pro basketball player doesn't mean I was actually going to become one. So many of my flash forwarding to now, many of my coaching members, especially a lot of people in Work on Your Game University, are in this space right now. Maybe you have a full-time thing going on, but you're trying to take this thing that you may be doing on the side, or maybe a thing you haven't even started yet. Maybe something that's been a passion, but you haven't really gotten into making anything out of it yet, anything tangible out of it yet. You want to make this into a business. Another thing that led to me talking about this was I was on this podcast called the Bigger Pockets Business Podcast in late November/early December 2020. And I was looking at the comments that people had posted, because they posted a video. It was in the podcasting app, but also they posted the video of the recording on their YouTube channel. And I was looking through the comments and someone asked, well, how can I, do the passion thing that I want to do while I also have a full-time business? Somebody should talk about that. And I said to them, I will talk about it. So here we are right now. So when I tell you I'm going to talk about something, it's coming. Point number one, the topic once again today is how to pursue your passion while you are still working full-time in any capacity. The most important thing, number one, is you must be respectful of your own time. And notice I said be respectful of your own time. I think everyone is mindful. You're aware that you have a certain amount of time, but a lot of people do not respect their time. So when I say respectful of your time, here's what I mean. You have to understand that your time is at a premium when you already have a full-time commitment, but you're trying to make something else into your full-time commitment. Right? There's only so much time that you have. You can't burn the candle at both ends for too long before you start burning up your hands. Right? You cannot afford wasted time when you already have one commitment and you're trying to make something else into the commitment. You don't have much extra when it comes to your most valuable resource, that being time. You don't have much extra to spare to even begin with. Therefore, you need a plan to know what you are doing, how you're doing it, and when you are doing it, so that when you do have the chance to grab an extra 45 minutes, or when you do have that extra hour or two every day, or that extra 30 minutes every other day, you know exactly what you're doing with that time. You don't want to get to a space where you have some free time or some additional time, and then you don't even know what to do with the time. And you waste the whole time just trying to figure out what to do. By the time you figure out what to do, the time's up. So many times in life, we don't make the most of the time on our hands. And this is even for those of you who are not in this situation of trying to pursue something on the side while you already have a full-time commitment. But many times we don't make the most of our available time, our most valuable resource, because we are using that time just trying to decide what to do with it. All right, I got a whole day to myself right now. What am I going to do with this day? And then you waste a third of the day just trying to decide what to do with the day. If you were respectful of your time, more respectful of your time, you would already have a strategy in place for what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, so that when you do have additional time, when you do have time on your hands, all you have to do is look at your plan. All you got to do is look at your strategy, and you know exactly what to do. Now understand, you don't have to come up with the plan or strategy yourself. Maybe you can find someone who already understands this, hint, hint, and they can show you exactly how you can strategize. They can help you put together a strategy for how you're going to use your time, because you don't have that much of it, so that when you do have additional time, or when you do grab that extra time, you know exactly what to do next and what to do next and what to do next. So there's a plan and process for you to follow, so that one thing you are not wasting is your time. Because again, time is the most valuable resource that you have. And we do all this at Work on Your Game University. Since I just said hint, I want to make sure I'm being direct about it. And you can learn about that at workonyourgameuniversity.com. The shortcut to all this, as I just said, is find someone who already has a plan and follow theirs. Simple enough, right? Find someone who has a plan for how you can make the most of the time that you have, and it might not be full-time. We know it's not full-time. Follow their plan, and this will help you shorten your learning curve. In my situation, for example, when I was trying to become a professional athlete, but I was working a full-time gig, there wasn't anyone with a plan. There were no plans out there. There were no books out there for how to play professional basketball. There were no blogs out there. Nobody was talking about it. There were people talking about playing overseas, but nobody was explaining, hey, here's what you do first, here's what you do next, here's what to do next. I was the person who stepped in and filled that void. But we're going to get to that shortly. All I could do at that time was formulate my own plan and just hope that that plan would work. And luckily, that plan worked out, so I'm able to tell that story as opposed to me becoming a statistic. It's something that I talked about in my book, Work on Your Game. But the whole point is you need a plan in place, whether it's a plan that you create, which might work, might not work, you can learn along the way, or a plan that someone else has created whom you trust, so that you know that their strategy and their framework is going to work for you, because they have already proven that they can produce results. And we're going to get to that in a moment. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to pursue your passion while you are still working full time. Number 2, one step at a time. Simple as that. This is a simple discipline, is a simple habit, but it's not so easy to follow simply because it's not sexy, it's not exciting, it's not a bright, shiny object, even when you first come across it. But I just told you, one step at a time is not a bright, shiny object. Even if you've never heard that phrase before in your life, you're like, oh, one step at a time, that's boring. Sounds like work. All right, sounds like discipline. Sounds like sounds like a process. Sounds like it's going to take time. And you know what? You're absolutely right on all those points. don't try to do everything all at once. First of all, you won't succeed in doing it all at once. And second of all, in your situation, you do not have the capacity to do everything at once because you ain't got that much time. And you probably don't have that much energy, attention, or focus to go with it either. What you need to do is focus on one area at a time, get that one area handled, then you move on to the next area. This is one of the most important things that I've done, that we've done here at Work on Your Game Incorporated over the last year, in the year 2020. And this is not specifically about going from pursuing a passion or going full time, but it's one of the things that we needed to do for work. Is that me, with all the things that I do, all the content that I put out, all the things I produce, whether you're talking about the books and the free content and all the other things that I do business wise, sometimes I would be this person. So all these things that I'm talking about here today, all these challenges that I'm pointing out, I've had these challenges where I had time on my hands. I wake up in the day and say, all right, there's a lot of things that I could do today. And there's like 20 things that I could do. And I wasted a whole lot of time just trying to figure out which one to do first and not prioritizing which one to do next and which one to do next. There was no process in place. So I was just randomly doing stuff. And thankfully I was talented enough, skilled enough, smart enough, I guess we can say, to make things work in a way that it was producing some success. But there was a lot of success that got left on the table, got left on the cutting room floor simply because I wasn't streamlining a process. I was not following a strategy. I didn't have a plan in place. So this is something that this year we really focused on, getting a plan and a strategy in place. So nowadays, when I get to work, I can look at my strategy and know, all right, this week, these are the things I need to knock out. All right, here's the first priority. Here's what's next. When I get done with this, then I do this. When this is done, then I move on to that. There's a strategy in place that's streamlined so I know exactly what I'm doing now and what I'm doing next. And that saves a whole lot of time, first of all, in planning and decision making, saves a whole lot of energy. So I'm not using up energy trying to decide what to do. It allows me to conserve my attention and my focus for the things that matter most. And doing all four of those things, the whole purpose is that ideally that's going to lead to, not even ideally, but following the strategy is going to lead to making more money, which is what I think everybody cares about, making money if you're talking about doing something, anything that's involving business. So for example, going back to what we're talking about here, pursuing a passion while you're working full time. When I was working full time and pursuing my goal of becoming a professional athlete, the first step that I needed to follow was getting myself in basketball shape, game shape, professional game shape. So I was already in shape, like normal walk around every day human being shape, but I need to get in basketball shape, then I need to get in game shape, then I needed to get in professional game shape. There are levels to this shit. Any of you who's an athlete, maybe you understand what I'm talking about, but maybe you don't. A lot of athletes think they know what game shape means, and then I see them and they say they're in game shape, and I'm like, no, you don't know what game shape is. But anyway, you can listen to the Overseas Basketball Blueprint podcast to learn what I had to say about being in game shape. For me, the first thing was getting back in game shape, because when I first got my first job, I was working at Foot Locker in the summer of, this is like the summer/fall 2004, after I graduated from college. I didn't work out for like maybe a month or two. I hadn't really worked out, maybe a month, because the summer ended, and this is in Philadelphia, PA, where I'm from. The summer ended, let's say like August. That's when the weather started to break. Any of you who's from that area of the country, you know, around that time, you can't really go play basketball outside anymore because it's a little bit cooler. It's not nice weather and nobody else is out there. You can't really do your thing. So from August, around late August, early September is when I got the job at Foot Locker. So first of all, I was at work a lot more because before I had no job. So I had plenty of time to go to the park. So now I have this job. I'm working full time. And I think I was even taking public transportation when I first got the job. I didn't even have a car to tell you where I was at this point. And it was like an hour and a half commute there and back every single day. And now I don't have as much time to go to the park. And the weather's getting colder. So I had no chance to play basketball. So I didn't play basketball for maybe a month, 2 months. When I started getting my first couple of checks from Foot Locker, the first thing I did was go to the LA Fitness. I had to catch a bus to go to the gym, and I got myself a gym membership. So now I can at least go to the gym and work on my body, work on my game. And the next thing I did was go buy a car. And I bought a car, just to tell you, just to date myself here. I bought a car out of a newspaper classified ad. I didn't even see the car. There was no picture. It was just a classified ad in the newspaper. Those of you who remember those ads, where it would just be a whole page with just a bunch of ads about cars. I called one of those numbers and I bought a car off this guy for like $450. And then I was in business. So now I can go to my job at Foot Locker and I can go to the gym on my days off. So the first thing was I had to get myself back in shape. I hadn't played basketball in 2 months. So my game wasn't even as sharp as it had been because I hadn't played. Then I had to slowly work myself up to getting in shape. So then I started doing that. I'm still working at my job. So this whole time, everything I'm telling you here, I'm still working full time. Then the next thing I did was I had to find an exposure event that I could go to. Now, usually exposure events are held in the summer times. Now, I just told you, I got this job at Foot Locker in September. So this is when usually the pro teams are starting their training camps and their seasons. I knew I wasn't going to get a job playing professional basketball my first year out of college because I had no game film with which to sell myself. I had no agent to sell me, and there was no way I could get an agent to sell me because I didn't have anything to show an agent to let them know that I was actually good. So I knew that first year I wasn't going to get a job. So I wasn't even really focused on that. I said, let me get my game in shape first, and then let me find an exposure event. The exposure event would be the following summer. So I've had this whole strategy that I'm working this until June of the following year, 2005, while I'm still working every single day. So I targeted an exposure event that would be the following summer, like June, July, 2005. Then the next thing I needed to do, as I'm working on my game this whole time, getting back in game shape, I needed to make sure I got the time off from my job so I could actually go to this event. And I need to have the money in place because that event, again, costs money. It cost me $250 to attend the event. Then whatever money I was going to need to travel there, whatever money I need for food, whatever money we need for lodging, a hotel room, things like that. And then I had to negotiate with my boss to get those days off because when you're working a full-time job, it's a full-time job. You can't just go to Orlando randomly. You don't have any days off. And I wasn't working it's not like I was how would I explain it? I don't even know how to explain it. Kind of job where you have no paid time off. There was no paid time off at the jobs that I was working at this time. Once I went to the exposure camp, then I had to find me an agent. After going to the exposure camp, and actually I left a step out here, I had to actually perform at the exposure camp. Because had I not performed at the exposure camp, none of this strategy would matter. I wouldn't even be telling you this story because it wouldn't be a story, it'd be a statistic of it not working out. So I had to go to the exposure camp and do my thing. I had to actually play well at the camp, which I did. Then with that footage, I leveraged that footage to go find me an agent. Then the next thing was, once I had an agent had signed me and said, I'm going to represent you, help you get a job. I had to stay on my agent's ass, even though it's their job to help me get a job. I stayed on their ass to make sure they actually found me a job and got me a damn contract. And all of those things worked out. Again, I'm only telling you the story because it worked out, but it was one step at a time. I had all of these things mapped out in my mind before I even began. Before I even got my job at Foot Locker, I had all this mapped out in my mind. And when I got the job at Foot Locker, the first thing I started doing, actually, the backtracking the story, before I got the job at Foot Locker, what I was hoping was that somehow, some way, one of these, I had tried out for a couple of semi-pro basketball teams in the state of Pennsylvania right after graduation. I was hoping that maybe one of those teams would call me and invite me to come play for them. And I say, all right, then I'm going to have to go work a regular job, which I dreaded even the concept of having to go do that. But that team never called. So I'm like, all right, when I finally got the job at Foot Locker, I just started reconstructing in my brain how this was going to work out. I bit the bullet and said, okay, I'm going to have to work this job. I'm going to have to keep living in my parents' house. I'm not going to get a job playing basketball this year. So let me reconstruct who I am and how I'm going to make this work. Who am I being? I want you to really listen, read between the lines of what I'm saying here, but you don't have to read between because I'm telling you. I reconstructed who I was being as a person. I'm going to work this job, but I'm going to leverage the money that I make from this job. I'm going to get me a car. I'm going to take the rest of the money. I'm going to get me a gym membership, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to go to the gym. That's all I'm going to do. And then since I'm working at Foot Locker, I'm going to use my discount, and I'm going to get me some sneakers so I can have some sneakers to work on my game with. Then when I switched from working at Foot Locker to working at a gym called Bally Total Fitness, now I got a gym where I can lift weights. And it was closer to home, so that worked even better. I still got my car. I still got my gym membership. Keep working on my game. When the calendar turned in 2005, I started looking for exposure events. I nailed the exposure event I wanted to go to. I said, all right, here's how much money I got to save up. Now I got to get these days off. So I started step by step. These are all things that I was mapping out in my mind, one step at a time to get to where I wanted to get to. You need to do the exact same thing for yourself. You're trying to make a full-time career out of whatever your passion is while you still have a full-time job. Ideally, you want to get rid of the full-time job and replace it with whatever you're bringing in from your passion. Understand that you need to map that out. All right, where am I at? Where do I want to get to? And then you can deconstruct how you're going to get there. Again, and Work on Your Game University, we help you put all these things together. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to pursue your passion while you are still working full-time. Number 3, you must make steady inputs. As I just explained to you, when I'm giving you the example of what I was doing when I was trying to get on playing professional basketball, the steady inputs that I was making was that I was going to that gym every day. If I was not working a full day at work at Foot Locker, I was in the gym. I would spend that full day in the gym. I knew exactly what my schedule was going to be every single week. So at Foot Locker, I would work the whole day Tuesday, the whole day Thursday, and then I would work a good amount of Friday, then Saturday and Sunday. So the days I knew which days I was going to have off. I knew which days I'd be able to get into the gym a little bit before I needed to be at work. And I had it all planned out. I had it all mapped out in my mind exactly how I was going to do these things every day. So I was consistently working on my game, even though I had a full-time job. So my game was ready by that following summer when I went to that exposure event, which was a chance for me to make or break my career. Again, become a story or become a statistic. If you, for example, want to become a writer, and this third point is steady inputs. If you want to become a writer, 300 words a day is better than 3,000 words once every 10 days. Even though if you do the math, they equal out to the exact same number of words. So why is 300 words a day better? It's because that muscle needs stimulation. Right? You can't get big muscles by working out for 10 hours once every 10 days as opposed to working out 1 hour every day for 10 days. The muscle needs to be stimulated. You need to create the habit and the discipline of consistent effort to build any type of muscle. And again, that could be an actual physical muscle in your body. It could be the muscle of working on your game. It could be the muscle of working on your side project. It could be the muscle of putting some time and attention into your side hustle, into your passion project, whatever it happens to be. If you work out for 30 minutes a day, you're not going to get the exact same results from 30 minutes a day working out that you would get from doing a 5-hour workout once every 10 days, which equals out to 300 minutes, same amount of time. Of course, you're not going to get the same result if you do a 5-hour workout once every 10 days. That's 3 times a month. You go to the gym for 5 hours and just do as many workouts as you can for 5 hours. No, nobody does that. And there's a reason why nobody does that is because you don't get the same results. It's the consistency that produces the results. And it's the consistency that maintains results. Consistency is boring. Consistency can be tedious. Consistency is very predictable. Consistency is not sexy. Consistency is not always so mentally stimulating. And this is why many people are inconsistent. This is why many people never produce any type of long-term results in anything. So the question you need to answer is, which one do you want to be? What flavor of shit sandwich do you actually want to eat? We just talked about this not too long ago here on this show. This is just what the deal is. Episode number 1663, your favorite flavor of shit sandwich. The consistency and tedium of doing the same things over and over again over an extended period of time may be to you a shit sandwich. For most people, it is a shit sandwich. Are you willing to eat it? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. I just talked to you in episode number 1643, how to make discipline easy. If you want to learn how to make it more easy for you, that shit sandwich doesn't sound too appealing to you, go listen to episode 1643. It'll help you out. So, when you're working on your passion project on the side, work on your passion project on the side. Actually do the work, whatever it happens to be. If you commit to 30 minutes a day, then fulfill your commitment and do the 30 minutes a day the same way you fulfill the commitment to showing up to your full-time job. If you want your passion to become your full-time business, you need to treat it like a full-time business even before it becomes a full-time business. I was treating basketball like I was getting paid for it even before I was getting paid for it, because I knew that was the only way I would get to the point of ever getting paid for it. I needed to treat it like that in order to be prepared for the opportunity, because look, who was I competing against? I'm competing for a job against other people who are already doing it full time. So how am I going to beat them out if I'm giving it a part-time effort and they're giving it a full-time effort? All right, that's the separation days just don't add up. That would have been working against me. Episode number 913. The topic is how to treat your desired career or business professionally before it becomes one. Again, that's episode number 913. You have to treat it like a career now. Get up and do the work every single time. That's what professionals do. They show up, do the job, even when they don't feel like doing the job, even when it's not exciting yet, even when they haven't gotten paid yet, even when they're not rich yet, they still show up and get the work done. That's how they become professionals. That's how they stay professionals. Question is, who do you want to be? Notice that we keep coming back to that question. Let's recap today's class, which is how to pursue your passion while still working full time. Whether we're talking you run a business already, you have a full-time job, either way, time is at a premium. Point number 1, be respectful of your time. Respecting your time means you cannot afford wasted time because you don't have any extra to begin with. So have a plan for what you're doing, how you're doing it, and when you're doing it. The shortcut to that is find somebody who already has a plan and follow theirs, which we give you in the university. I'll tell you about that in a moment. Point number 2, one step at a time. Don't try to do everything all at once, because in your situation, you don't have the time to do that anyway. You are time poor. You can't afford to try to do everything at once. You're going to fail because you're going to run out of time. Focus on one step at a time, the same way that I did when I was trying to play ball. It was get in shape, then find an exposure event, then get the time off, then perform at the event, then get an agent and stay on my agent's ass. All of those things work, but I had to have a plan in place to make it work. I didn't try to do those all in one day. Number 3, steady inputs. If you want to be a writer, 300 words a day beats 3,000 words once every 10 days. Why? Because that muscle needs consistent stimulation. Why? Because this is what the professionals do. All right, you want to be a professional, you must treat your desired career or business as a profession before it becomes one. As we talked about in episode number 913, give your side project the same respect that you give your full-time job. You wouldn't just show up to your full-time job randomly when you felt like it, right? You show up every single time. That's what a professional does. You want to make anything you're doing on the side into a profession, start treating it like one right now. If you want to learn how to take your passion, whatever that passion may be. If you're doing it on the side right now, maybe you haven't started doing it at all. Maybe it's dead and you're trying to revive it and get it working. You're just trying to figure out the right formula to do it because you know you don't have forever to figure it out. Join us and Work on Your Game University so we can help you develop your game, show your game, and get you paid, get you the ROI for your game that you want. Join us at workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all